Again, we will turn to a voice from the past to remind us to think with an open mind for the future. Thomas Edison, the famed inventor, said in 1889,
"Fooling around with alternating current is just a waste of time. Nobody will use it.
ever. And of course, alternating current is the basis for much of our power today. Let's fast forward to this gentleman. This is Lonnie Johnson, the inventor of the super soaker. You might wonder why he's smiling. Well, number one, he made a vast fortune from the super soaker. He sold the rights and made out very well. But I suspect he might be smiling today because he may be about to change the course of civilization. There's been a famed social scientist and political scientist, George Friedman, who has predicted that soon a major energy breakthrough is going to be upon us. And unfortunately, he also predicts soon we'll be in another global war, world war, but that through that process, the source of energy will determine the outcome and the winner of the war. And then that source of energy will spark a worldwide economic boom. He's predicted that source of energy will be from outer space as we figure out how to harvest the vast energy swirling around in space. I think it just might come from Lonnie Johnson. And here's a story. When he was in high school, he entered a science fair and made a robot. The robot was coming along pretty good, but he couldn't get the legs to move quite right because of the power problem. So he ended up ripping apart an old abandoned jukebox, taking a barbecue grill and some compressed air, and trying to make the legs move with that combination of parts. He pulled it off well enough to win his local science fair in high school, but there's numerous issues that he just couldn't figure out. He went on in life to become a nuclear engineer for NASA, but those issues from his high school days kept nagging at him, so in his spare time, at nights, he tinkered. One of the goals he had along the way with his tinkering was to come up with a method of refrigeration that was eco-friendly, that didn't require a Freon. And in the process of that tinkering, he accidentally figured out how to do the super soaker. Sold the super soaker over the course of the years that followed, made a good fortune, and then started his own company and turned his focus back to his energy problem. He has invented a technology that takes heat, including wasted heat, the heat that comes out from our laptops or our car exhausts or even our faces, and turns that into electricity. It's a rather complex process, but it's proven, it's been done, it's patented, and it's marching forward. It's called thermoelectrochemical generators. And these generators can also be converters and harvesters. And with the advances in the miniaturization of devices of all kinds, these electrical chemical harvesters can eventually sit on anything that releases heat, capture it, and return it as energy. The way it works in a very, very simplified version, I know we have a couple of physicists here who will cringe at my description, but it kind of works like this. A hydrogen molecule moves towards a membrane, a wall, because of two contrasting heat planes. And what the two contrasting temperatures push the molecule forward, hits the membrane, breaks apart. The protons march one way, the electrons march another way, and in that process of marching apart, energy is created. There's a couple of striking things about this technology, and one of them is that it has no moving parts. His device has no moving parts. It's called solid state, which means it can be much more efficient than other ways of generating energy. Another striking thing about it is a closed system, so it doesn't have to keep, unlike fuel cells, it doesn't have to keep refreshing and pumping new things in to continue to pluck out the energy. So we can look forward to advances in things like sensors on our exhaust pipes that capture the heat, laptops that repower themselves from their own heat waste, cell phones that we can recharge by simply holding up to our cheeks, and most striking of all, many, many medical devices that can be powered by the heat differential between, for example, our chest and our skin. So he's opened up a whole range of possibilities. And that leads me to another push of the button on the fortune-telling machine. And the prediction is, in 5 years, we will find behind the early generation of a new heat to electricity energy harvester, the thermoelectric generator, the TEG, on a wide variety of products. This will be the beginning of a revolution of the way we use energy. Definitely one to watch. Next, we're going to turn our attention to something a little bit closer to home today, the topic of the netbook computer. But first, a voice from the past, this one from a Western Union memo in 1878.
This telephone has too many shortcomings to be seriously considered as a means of communication. The device is inherently of no value to us. I'm not sure what a memo sounds like, so that's all I got.
And that memo was, of course, talking about the telephone, but the outlook of how valuable can this really be in our everyday lives, to some respects applies to what's going on with netbooks today. We're still getting used to the introduction of this new product, which has come out over the last year or so. But first, let's start with kind of the fathers of the platform, as I call them. This is the first time in 10 years that I've shared this look to the future without at least one of Bill Gates, founder of Microsoft, or Steve Jobs, founder of Apple, at the helm. Neither one of them is leading their organizations currently. Bill Gates stepped down to focus on philanthropy, and Steve Jobs is battling some health issues and has taken a leave of absence. But they have the vision of what a platform could be, Bill Gates' vision of a PC in every home, and how it could transform our lives. Steve Jobs pioneering of really existing technologies, but to new levels of impact with iPod, iPhones, and other platforms. So the platform has marched on. It's marched forward to the advent of the netbook today. Now, a netbook is very much like a laptop, but it is several of the hallmarks of technology on the move. Technology moves and it can become smaller, faster, more practical, have more critical mass. Netbooks are smaller versions of laptops. They're lightweight. They're very, very cheap. I have a Best Buy ad that was in my mailbox yesterday, and right in the middle of it is a couple of netbooks. These particular ones run the Intel Atom processor and Windows XP operating system for $379. The real powerful concept behind netbooks is they give us access to the internet. A lightweight, cheap netbook, you can pop it up, it has wireless connectivity, and get right to the internet, do our stuff, and they have the horsepower to provide audio and video capabilities. They also have no moving parts, which helps to get the costs down as well. They do not have traditional hard drives, they don't have CDs, DVDs. They're just there to kind of get you to the internet in the speediest fashion possible. And of course, you can still do some local activity. The systems that run Windows XP still allow you to run Windows applications. But real intent and purpose, at least through the description of many of the visionaries behind netbook evolution, is to give you a path to the network. Now, technologies like that have been a dream for a long time. This is an HP 300LX computer that I bought about 8 years ago. And it was very pricey. I believe it was about $1,000 computer at the time. It ran Windows 3.0. It provided me with no path to the network, at least no reasonable path. And it, quite frankly, didn't work at all. It was a very expensive conversation piece. But for a good year or so, I could take it on sales calls, and clients would ask me about it. We had a good talk. And then eventually, I realized it was embarrassing to admit that it really served no purpose, so I stopped taking it with me. But what's happened is the technology has advanced, the internet advanced. Now there's more and more of a presence of applications on the internet. We can do a lot of the things that we need to do in business or personal lives simply by getting on the internet, and the internet can store our data, keep it there as well. In a way, it becomes less important how we get to the internet, because we don't have our local computing needs as prevalent. There's a lot of predictions that that internet home for our applications and for our data is going to continue to hold more and more and more of what we care about. It's called the cloud, the internet cloud. It's going to hold our data, our applications, and our lives. And the netbooks is just a cheaper way to get to it. A significant thing happened this year